Have you ever heard the phrase, labels are for things, not for people? For many, it's something we hear all the time. Labels are for things, not for people. But how many of us actually stop to think about what it means? Or how much we let labels define who we are? These labels could come from others or from within ourselves. And over time, they can limit us in ways we don't even realise. Now, when we talk about labels, one of the biggest problems with labels is that they're everywhere. Just look around. Everything in your house, in your office, it's labelled in some way. Your books, your laptop, your coffee mug, or your coffee, even your clothes. Labels help us categorise and make sense of objects. But when we start labelling people, including ourselves, that's when things can get tricky. So why is that? Why does labelling people have such a negative impact? Well, it's because labels oversimplify something that is incredibly complex. People. Humans are not static. We grow, we change, and we evolve over time. We are dynamic beings capable of learning, healing, and transforming. But a label? A label is fixed. It doesn't allow for evolution. It reduces something to one thing, freezing them in time, even though we know life is always moving. Think back to your childhood. How often were you or others given labels? In school, maybe you were the smart one, the quiet one, or the troublemaker. You see, these labels don't just describe, they begin to shape how people see you and even how you see yourself. Once labelled, it's easy to believe that's all you are, and it becomes harder to break out of that mould. Take someone, for example, who is labelled as a failure after a few setbacks in their career. They might internalise that label and begin to believe that they're incapable of success, even though every person, no matter how successful, experiences failure. Now, instead of seeing failure as a stepping stone, the person may avoid taking risks or pursuing opportunities, all because of a label. Even seemingly positive labels can be limiting. Someone labelled the responsible one might feel burdened by the expectations that come with that. Maybe they feel like they can never let their guard down or show vulnerability because they've always been the one who keeps everything together. You see, labels, whether positive or negative, or I prefer the word empowering, are limiting because they confine people to a narrow box, a simplified version of their full selves. But you're not a label. You're not defined by one aspect of your personality, of one role or one moment in time.